Hello and welcome to my December currently inked. I also have quite a few others that I keep inked, but these have been my favorites of the month. First up, we have the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande Pura. This is an orange, translucent orange. This is a Pelican M600 Sovereign. This is a tortoiseshell. We have a Moonman M800, and this is purple, as you can see. This is a Benu Talisman, and the color is Dream Bean. And this is Monteverde Trees of the World, the Baobab version. We have a vintage Waterman's 5 in Red Ripple. This is probably from the 1920s. We have a Twisby 580 ALR, Prussian Blue. We have a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. And this is the Nebula. We have a Lamy Studio, and this is Imperial Blue. We have a Jinhao Century. This is in black and gold. They have a lot of different colors of this Parker Duofold copy. And this is a Fountain Pen Revolution Tenoshi Yorushi. And I believe this is the dragon. So let's just start with some writing samples. Zoom in a bit. Start with the Leonardo. So this is a nice piston filler. Nice big nib. My only complaint about this is that at times it does leak. It hasn't lately. I had writer's blood in it, and we know how writer's blood is, but it hasn't leaked. It hasn't leaked with this ink, which is a good thing. So hopefully that was just an ink thing. There's I believe that's an ebonite feed. It's a stainless steel nib, and it's a fine nib. So it's Leonardo Momento Zero Grande Pura. This translucent orange version. The nib is what is this nib? Is it a fine or is it an extra fine? It is an extra fine. Extra fine stainless steel. The ink in here is Diamine Aurora Borealis. Nice ink. No flex really. Reverse. It's a very nice pen. Other than the occasional leak when I had the Diamine in it, that's really the only issue I've had with this pen. But it's a nice piston filler with a nice ink capacity. So that's the Momento Zero Pura. Here we have the Pelican M600. This pen it's taken a while to grow on me. I'm not sure why. Sovereign. This is tortoiseshell. shell. No. How do you spell tortoise? Tortoise shell. The nib. And this is an extra fine 14 karat gold. You can see the extra fine here is quite a bit thicker than the Leonardo extra fine. But this has some decent variation. Not much though. The ink in here is from the Monteverde Gems collection. This is ruby. I've tried different inks in it, and ruby seems to work pretty well in it. So that's the nib. That's the bead, plastic bead. And this is a piston filler as well. Quite a bit smaller than the Momento Zero Grande, but it still holds a pretty good amount of ink in it. Very classy Pelican. Just going to have to try different inks in it to find just the right perfect one. And this is the Moonman M800, which is a Leonardo copy. So we have the Moonman, and this writes fantastic. The nib is a Bach nib, and the M800s that come with the Bach nib, there are like $20 more, I do believe, and it's worth it. So we have the nib. It's a fine Bach stainless steel. Ink is Monteverde, so also from their Gems collection. And this is Cherry Oak. This is a beautiful writing pen. Just a cartridge. This is Mahjong. I think this ink matches pretty well with the pen. It's a very firm nib, so yeah, that's that. In reverse, it's okay in reverse. This is a pretty dry writing. This is a very wet writing pen, the Pelican. This is fairly dry, quite a bit like this one. It's funny, you can see this extra fine is quite a bit thicker than this fine, and this is also a little bit thicker than this fine. But there's some variations in how people make their nibs. Next up, we have the Bindu Talisman. This is my second Bindu. My first Talisman. And the color here is Dream Beam. The nib. And this one is a medium stainless steel. This is a very wet writing pen. So you see there's the nib. It's a Schmidt nib. Plastic bead. And the ink. This is Palette Iroshizuku Yamaguri. very wet ink and a very wet writing pen. Some flex. A lot of shading. Nice in reverse. I'm all out of focus. Focus. So very nice in reverse. So that's the Benu Dream Beans. Next up, we have the Monteverdi Trees of the World. It's a very pretty pen. Has a little piece of wood material there with the resin. It's not the wood from the actual tree that it's referring to, but and it says Monteverdi in there, if you can see it. Monteverdi Trees of the World. So, and this is a super wet writer. Trees of the World. And this is Baobab. And the ink in here is Diplomat. Black Sepia. The nib is an Omniflex. Stainless steel. It's a nice flex. Nice flex, and it's been a very reliable pen. I've had some issues with some of my Monteverdis in the past, but this one I haven't had any issues with it. Very nice writing pen. It writes a little thicker than I would like, but yeah, all in all, you see the nibs, Omniflex. And it's a cartridge converter as well. And there's the nice cap. So each pen is pretty much, comes up pretty different. But I really like that pen. So next up, we're going to get into the vintage. Back with my Watermans that I love so much. So this is a Waterman's 5. And it'll say 5 right there. It's a lever filler. I bought this on eBay from a 93-year-old lady. She said this belonged to her father-in-law, who passed away 30 years ago. So that's it. It's a purple nib. So the nibs on these are, they don't say fine, medium. They go by colors. So the pen here, it's Waterman's 5. The nib is a purple 14 karat, and this equals an accountant fine. That's what that translates to. And the ink in here is Waterman Mysterious Blue. And unlike a lot of my Watermans, this has no flex to it. This is a very fine, very firm nib. that does pretty nice in reverse. So that's the Waterman's again, probably from the 1920s. Beautiful pen. Next up, totally opposite end of the spectrum, but also a beautiful pen. It's a TWSBI 580, a Diamond 580 ALR in Prussian blue. My dog's over here snoring like she's worked on a farm today. So the pen here, TWSBI, Diamond 580 ALR, Prussian blue. And the ALR, the R, this stands for these, has these ridges in there for on the grip. The ink in here, what is the ink in here? It's Birmingham Pen Company, Blue Bonnet. And the nib, it is a fine stainless steel. I love the way this pen writes. So there's nib, fine. There's the Blue Bonnet in there. The TWSBIs handle the Birmingham shimmering inks very well. This is probably going to be, it has a little bit of flex. A little bit of flex. And okay, in reverse. But yeah, that's the, and my dog wants to come and sit on my feet. That's not going to work here. That's a beautiful Prussian blue TWSBI. Beautiful piston filler. This knob always moves. Next up, kind of a similar color. And this is the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. And this is the Nebula. Nebula looks a lot bluer in the online advertisements, but it's actually a pretty green pen, but still pretty. Green has some gold sparkles in it. And this is a cartridge converter as well. I think the cartridge actually came with it, I don't remember. But pen, Sailor, Slim, Nebula is the color. The nib is a medium fine 14 karat. Sailor has some of the finest nibs. So although they say this is a medium fine, it feels like an extra fine. But it still writes nicely. The ink in here is diamine, just like the Pura Aurora Borealis. A little bit of flex. In reverse is so-so. So that's the Nebula. Beautiful nib. Beautiful pen. I would love the king of pens in this one day, maybe. So next up is the Lamy Studio. I did a review on this one several months back. So pen, it's the Lamy Studio. Imperial Blue. And this nib is extra fine stainless steel. It's very toothy nib. The ink in here is the included cartridge. Just a very dark blue. This is I won't smooth this, but this is borderline neat smoothing, but I'm kind of liking the way it feels on the paper. It really grips the paper. So that's the Lamy Studio. Very nice pen. Well manufactured pen, except for the, as I talked about in my previous review video, the clip just doesn't work for me, but I appreciate their efforts there. Next up we have the Jinhao Century. So Jinhao. Sometimes they say 100 or 100 Centennial. This is labeled as the Century. And this is black and gold. The nib in here is a medium stainless steel, but it's 18 karat gold plated. The ink in here is Waterman inspired blue. This is a fairly wet writer as well. Nice shading on this ink. No line weight variation. Reverse. Not really usable in reverse. But this is the Jinhao Century. It actually says Century, QC or QG Stationery, Jinhao pen. And this actually does come off. You would think it's a blind cap, but it's not. It's just, it unscrews. They could have called it a blind cap if they extended the converter out there a little bit, but it's not really a blind cap. It's a pseudo blind cap. It's a very nice pen. Feels substantial. I think it was $13 or something like that. You know, this is a copy of the Parker Dual Fold, I think. I don't have a dual fold, so I can't really see how they compare. The last pen is, this is the Fountain Pen Revolution. If you heard me, this pen is a great pen, but their converters are not very good. So you see there, the ink, for some reason, it just likes to rise to the top, so I have to flick it down. I don't think they have any, you know, some converters have little balls in it, or they have like the metal springs that help with surface tension. I think that's what this converter is missing. So it seems like it's drying out, but the ink is kind of rising to the top for whatever reason. So I think I said this was a dragon. This is actually the red phoenix. So it's a Urushi pen. And this is the cap with a huge ball that this clip is very, very firm. It's really hard to use in my case here, but you can see there, it's a very pretty Urushi pen. I upgraded to the gold nib, and I think this cost me about $2.15 or something like that. But you can also get these with stainless steel nibs. So the pen is the Fountain Pen Revolution Tenoshi Urushi. And this, I believe, is the red phoenix. And the nib on here is a fine, it's a fine flexi 14 karat gold nib. Ink in here is diamond. Diamond oxblood. So you get a nice flex. Yeah, so my only issue is with it's nice and reverse, with that converter. I think that causes the pen to skip every now and then. But other than that, I'll probably put a nicer converter in here. It's a nice flexi pen. But that's it for my currently inked this month. Thank you all for watching some of my favorites of the month. And again, until next time, everyone, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you later.